Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel or TikTok, wherever you are. Uh, Today is our first video on our ministry called One Verse at a Time, a Lifetime of Faith. Today we're going to look at the first verse of the Bible in the first book of the Bible, Genesis 1:1. Woo! Now if you will open your Bible with me, and we're going to try to do three things in this verse. First of all, we're going to do the exegesis of the verse, reading it both in its original language and also in English. Second, we're going to derive the theology of the verse. And then third, we're going to find some application, what the verse means for us, or trying to communicate about God. So read with me the first verse. I'm going to read it in Hebrew. It says, Bereshit bara Elohim it hashamayim wa it haaretz. So in English, it should be reading like, in beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And of course, your Bible is probably say in the beginning with a definite article. But in reality, the definite article is not there. And also in Hebrew, sometimes a preposition can introduce a clause just as in English. So in other words, this preposition here is really a temporal preposition. In other words, it can be read when instead of in the beginning. So in that way, you can say when God began to create the heavens and the earth. Now you notice there's a big different theological implication here that is different than what implied in your English Bible. And we're going to see that in our theological investigation. But let's do some exegetical observation. First of all, the first word bara, the first word bereshit is two words in English, as I already pointed out. There's the preposition in, and then washit, which is beginning. So you find in, beginning. And then the second clause is bara Elohim, which is mean God create, or create God, but really, literally create God, but really translate God create. And the word Elohim here is a generic name for God. It's not necessarily saying the God of Israel, of course it is, but at this point it's not saying if it's Yahweh or El Shaddai, it is a generic name. So any Middle Eastern people reading this back then will say, yeah, Moses, I agree. God created the earth. There's no question about it. But yet, there's nothing that implies, that says who that God is. And then we have bara, which is the word for create. Again, bara is a word only used with a divine being. So bara is only used with God throughout the Bible, which means God is the only one who is able to create in the way that he creates. And then you have hashamayim, haaretz, earth and heaven, normally a pair. And hashamayim here, heaven is in plural, while earth is in singular. So what is the theology here of this verse? First of all, it's showing us that God is self-existent without a beginning or a cause. That means he self-exists. Second, we see that God is the supreme creator of everything. Things that we see or things that we are not able to see. And remember, the author here wants us to see creation in totality. In other words, not just the earth, but the earth and the heavens. That means there are things that in the universe we don't know, we can't see, but God created all of them, whether the planet, Plato, or Mars, or under the sea. God created those, the seen and unseen realms. And then third, God is outside of time and space and of history. And the author shows us that. He shows us that when God began to create, so in other words, God's standing outside of times and space as he creates. So what does that say? What does that mean for us? First of all, the verse here tells us when we feel uncertain about our future, we can rest in God who sees the end from the beginning. Second, we can depend on God to provide for us because nothing is too hard for him to do as a God who created the universe. And third, because we owe God our existence, Remember, he is the creator. We worship him with love and obedience. My friend, God is outside of time. He's the creator. And he loves you. He created you. So when you're uncertain about your future, when you need anything at all, you can depend on God because he is the creator of all. I'm hoping to see you next time. One verse at a time, a lifetime of faith. See you soon.